We live in a really magical time. We live in a time where there's so much opportunity around us to kind of disrupt and reshape and remap industries, or disrupt and reshape and remap our own businesses. And this remarkable period of innovative disruption is really due to a number of really global macro themes that I see in the world around us. And I thought I'd probably share with you 4 of these sort of quick themes that I think are quite, it's just unprecedented in history in terms of the opportunity that's presented before us. The first big global macro theme that some of you may have heard is, Marc Andreessen, the world's most famous venture capitalist, said, software is eating the world, and every industry is waking up somewhat disruptively to discover it's now dominated by a software business. I mean, if you look out there, the world's biggest direct marketing company is a software company. It's Google, right? The world's fastest growing telecommunications company is a software company. It's Skype, which is part of Microsoft. The world's biggest bookstore, the world's biggest shoe store is a software company. It's Amazon. They're saying shortly that Amazon's going to be the biggest retailer in the world, overtaking Walmart in the next 5 years. We used to read books in physical form. Now we do it in software through Kindle and through iPads and so on. We used to do scrapbooking with pen and paper and glue and scissors. Now we do that in software with Pinterest. We used to take notes with pen and paper. I do that with software now with Evernote. Maps are in software. Search is in software. Music is headed to software. Fashion's in software. Real estate's in software. You used to line up for jobs or go to job centers looking for employment. You can do that through my website now in software. Right? Photography is now in software. Video is now in software. Travel's in software. Reviews, you getting the picture now? Everything's in software. Education, coupons, flea markets, healthcare, point of sale systems, financial planning, money, central banks with Bitcoin, education. And we even used to hang out with our friends in person. Now we just do it in the software using Facebook, right? So Mary Meeker from Kleiner Perkins calls this the reimagination of everything. Every industry, every way that we interact with each other as humans is now headed into software. The second big global macro trend that's occurring is, this is one that I built the back of my business on, is the fact that most of the world's population have yet to use the internet. So there's 7.1 billion people on the planet. There are 3 billion people on the internet. There are 4 billion people that are not. If you look at the top 10 US consumer internet websites, these are sites like Google, Facebook, Yahoo, and so forth. 86% of the traffic to these sites is actually non-US traffic, or what they call foreign traffic. Last year was 81%. So this ratio is increasing very, very, very dramatically, right? There are twice as many people on the internet in China as the entire population of the United States of America. And at the same time, there's a massive demographic inflection point between the West and the developing world, where probably the most pronounced I can probably kind of explain this is in Japan in 2011, the largest manufacturer of diapers announced they sell more adult diapers than baby diapers. Right? While in India, there's an influx of 14 million people into the workforce every year. So in Western economies, you've got quite a number of people who are aging and leaving the workforce. And in developing world economies, you've got a huge number of people into the workforce. And the really remarkable thing about the other 5 billion people on the planet is they live on an average wage of $10 a day or less. In some circumstances, dramatically less. So when they go to the internet and they connect up for the first time, the first thing that they want to do is they want to figure out how to kind of raise their level of income. But remarkably, thanks to the internet, the whole wealth of human knowledge is out there. So it's never been easier to learn a trade. If you want to go and learn how to design a logo, you can go to a site like this. There's actually a Melbourne company that produces PSD tuts, and you can go out there and you can learn how to design a logo. If you want to learn quantum mechanics, like Larry Marshall, I presume, is an expert over here, you can go online to MIT and you can learn again for free, because the whole wealth of human knowledge is out there. In fact, there's a whole revolution occurring in online education, where the online universities now absolutely dwarf the traditional universities, with the same lecturers, the same high level of lecturers from Stanford, MIT. They're all teaching online now. At the same time, every industry is being digitized. So if you want to design a house, or you want to design a part or a product, you do it in a software package. And effectively, what this means is that anyone, any time of day, potentially, particularly as the software all heads into the cloud, can collaborate with you on a job and help you kind of get something done, potentially for a fraction of the cost. And this is kind of where my business kind of briefly fits in. We're the world's largest online marketplace for freelance services. We connect up 15 million people from around the world to get jobs done. 7.3 million projects have been posted on the site as of this morning. And we really help small businesses turn their ideas into reality with a workforce that's predominantly in emerging markets in the developing world. Over $2 billion worth of projects in terms of value have been posted on the site. And to relay back to sort of the Marc Andreessen theory that every industry is heading to software and so forth, the way I think about my business is we're in the really early days of replicating the first country in software. You see, we have a population just overtook Belgium. We have a GDP that just is ranked 185 out of 187 countries globally. This is kind of a map of the world that kind of shows you where our people geographically are. It will kind of, you'll start to see it in a second. The white dots are kind of where the users are, and this is kind of through the history of the business from 2000 to 2015. The pink are where the employers are. So you can see it all started off pretty much in the very early days coming out of the US and going to places like India and Eastern Europe. The blue are where the jobs are being performed in terms of freelancers. You can see here around 2007, this is the GFC hits. The GFC hits, and a lot of people in America suddenly have free time and they work on, they're not working online, what they're doing is they're posting jobs and they're hiring freelancers to go and get things done for them. The developing world is suddenly, 2009, 2010, connecting online at mass, so now you can get an ADSL home connection across Southeast Asia, and of course, and taking off. That's spreading around the world, and you can kind of see how the marketplace has kind of grown rapidly over time as developing world connects, people get more and more educated and people go online. To give you just an example of the sort of things people are getting done online, just very, very briefly, this is the way that most of the jobs get done on the site. You kind of post a project, people bid on the project. This costs $55 to get the graphic design of a mobile phone app done, or $64 to get the CAD/CAM 3D modeling of a part or a product. And you get a lot of factories in China that bid in these jobs at a very low cost because they're trying to win a production unit from you, 5,000 units. Or you can crowdsource the job. You can put the prize up and people compete for a prize, and here you get 70 entries for a logo for $175, or even something more sophisticated, 3D modeling of a wardrobe for $90. You get 72 designs that look like this for $90 in a winner-takes-all crowdsourcing competition. I think Pierre Diamandis talks about the power of contests and how you get leverage with those very effectively for your dollar. Industrial design of a water kettle for $240. You get 26 designs that look like this. Incredible. And even more crazy, this blew me away. This is the last example. This was an Indian employer who's in Great Britain who hired an Indian it posted a contest, so it was a crowdsourced environment, and the winner was a freelancer in India, and it was a 600 rupee prize, which is $9.60, and this is the quality of the interior design you get for $9.60, and there were actually 5 designs he submitted. So it's pretty amazing. But the internet now, connecting many people up, allows many other different business models. And the classic example here is crowdfunding. This is Kickstarter. This is not equity crowdfunding or debt crowdfunding. It's pre-sales. Some guys were trying to go raise money for getting a watch to be developed. Went down Sand Hill Road trying to get venture capitalists to fund them. They wouldn't do it because it's a hardware company. Instead went to Kickstarter. They tried to raise $100,000. Next thing you know, they raised $10.3 million. In fact, it's so big that it broke the HTML on the page. Kickstarter now funds more arts projects than the National Endowment for the Arts in the US. So Tom Friedman, who wrote The World of Flat, said the world's becoming hyper-connected and even more connected day by day by day. The third big macro trend is the fact that distribution is unprecedented. So if you look through the history of consumer adoption of technology, it took 45 years for the telephone to be adopted by 50% of US consumer households. As you've gone through clothes washers, dryers, etc., dishwashers, these S-curves have got steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper. In fact, they all get to saturation because ultimately everyone owns a dishwasher and gets electricity and so forth. It just depends how long it takes. But if you go through something like the iPod, which truly revolutionized the music industry, after 8 quarters of shipping, there were only a few million units of products that were actually out there. But then as you go through time, through the PlayStation, Nintendo, and so forth, these products ramped faster and faster. I mean, the Apple iPhone got to 40 million units in 8 quarters. If you think that's fast, the iPad ramped 3 times faster than the iPhone, and Android ramped 4 times faster than that. So absolutely phenomenal. In fact, if you go through the new Android phones, they're hitting 40 million units in 2 quarters, right? Because when I say that consumers are adopting faster and faster, it means that distribution of products and services is faster and faster because people are buying faster and faster. And the reason why is the internet connects up 3 billion people and allows you to distribute a product or service very, very quickly. And if you get away from the physical and get back to the virtual, Facebook 0 to 1 billion users in 8 years, absolutely crazy. Faster than Facebook was a game that was distributed in Facebook, 0 to 100 million customers in 45 days. Never before in the history of mankind have you been able to distribute a product or service this quickly. 100 million customers, 98% of them don't pay. For some reason, 2% think that it's good value to buy a virtual cow to impress your friends on Facebook. In fact, the company that produced this game made so much money from the virtual cows and pigs that they had to figure out the depreciation schedule for the useful life of a virtual cow because they made $1.1 billion in revenue in the 3rd year of operation. Absolutely crazy because you can just reach so many people so quickly. And the way they do this is through distribution fire hoses. These are consumer internet platforms that connect up 1 billion users. Google, Facebook, Yahoo, Zynga, they're all over there. Every major internet company I've seen hit triple-digit growth and hit to the billions of dollars in revenue has used one of these platforms to grow. And the way they do it is they find a way to distill word of mouth into an algorithm and use that to kind of grow through the social graph very, very quickly. The last big global macro trend is the fact that every business today is basically an internet business. And the great thing about building an internet business is all the things you need to build an internet business are free. Operating systems, graphic design software, email, voice over IP is mostly free and so forth. If it's not free, it's relatively cheap. I mean, here's an example of another thing that's free, which is absolutely blew my mind. It's some software you can download, which is a virtual machine. You can load it into a computer, and it'll actually turn that computer into a different type of computer. In this particular case, it turns it into a hotel reservation system. Does your minibar, does your Wi-Fi hotspots, has asterisk voice over IP built in, so it does all the phone system and so forth, and it's free. If it's not free, it's cheap on the internet. So PayPal and shopping cart software and ads to promote your business. And if you have no idea how this stuff works, you can hire freelancers cheaply to do it for you. That's a bit of a gratuitous plug. But so literally, people are starting business off the back of a credit card. And the companies of today that get going in some industries, in consumer internet and so forth, are really starting with $20,000 or $50,000 or $100,000, not $5 million in a traditional Series A venture style financing. And there's a whole bunch of businesses that have literally started with no financing and just off the back of a credit card. And this is an example of the partner, my partner and freelancer, who started. He's an Australian entrepreneur. He started a company which produced antivirus. He hired some freelancers to build antivirus for him. He paid $1,000. He put it on downloads.com, became the #1 download on downloads.com, and just using a combination of that and Google Ads, he got it to $40 million in revenue with no external financing. And they took a bit of money in from Packer and then got it to 100 million, sold it for 300. So this is a business that started with $1,000. This is a Melbourne company, started with $30 in a weekend. You can do this, anyone could come up with this idea. It's coupons on the internet. How do you find the coupons? You search Google, you find the coupons, you make a beautiful website, you optimize it for search engine optimization, you make it look nice, easy to search. Started with $30 in the weekend, they bootstrapped to $30 million in revenue, they sold it for 5 years later for $19 million. Story didn't end. Luckily, the guys who sold it kept some shares, because the guys who bought it were Austin Ventures out of the US. They were very smart. They scaled it up with the search engine marketing, and they listed it for several billion market cap now in the US. So literally, if you have a product or service that has affinity with the internet, you can take off very quickly. I'd never heard of Pinterest until it kind of became the 16th biggest site in the US in 1 year. Scrapbooking on the internet, who would have thought, right? They discovered the dark matter of the internet, which is women, right? Most of the geeks in Silicon Valley are building products for other geeks, right? And Silicon Valley has 11 men to every 1 female. So suddenly someone thought, you know what, there's 51% of the world's population is actually female. Why don't we think about building a product or service for them? Duh. So if you think about, if you actually look through how fast companies are growing revenue now, this is the flip side of the punchline of everything I said today. It took Apple about 8 years to reach $1 billion in revenue. It took Google about 5 years to reach $1 billion in revenue. And the companies are doing this faster and faster and faster and faster because consumers are buying faster and faster because the internet's allowing distribution faster and faster. Zynga, Groupon, for all the negative things you heard in the press, at that time, they were the fastest organizations in history to reach $1 billion in revenue. $1 billion of revenue in 2.5 to 3 years. If you think they're fast, how many of you play Candy Crush? I'm sure a few of you still do, right? This is a company that started in April of 2012. Well, the company was around a little bit longer than that. The game was launched in April 2012. Can anyone tell me what the revenue was in 2013 for Candy Crush? Any guess? It's like flicking jelly beans on your phone. 1.9 billion in revenue. Started in April 2012, 2013, 1.9 billion in revenue. They listed on the stock market for 7.9 billion market cap, right? In a space of just a couple of years from that game coming out, which is phenomenal. And it's not unrealistic to think that within our lifetime, you'll see someone start a company and make $1 billion in revenue in the first year. So the growth rates and the capital efficiency of the internet business model are unprecedented in history, and welcome to technology. Thank you.